Probably just like a whole cake. Hello there guys, this is Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space, and today I am answering your questions for my 500 Q&A. Thank you so much if you left me a question. I'm hoping that I didn't miss any here. I just have my comments up on the video and it's going to be kind of spur of the moment. I wasn't actually planning to film this today, but it's such a beautiful day that I'm throwing preparation to the wind and embracing impulsivity. So here we go. And if I did forget any of your questions, please let me know in the comments and I will respond to your comment down below. Okay, let's start with Nate's recent reads. Thank you so much, Nate, for leaving me a question. What first got you into Dostoevsky? A couple years ago, I just picked up Crime and Punishment. I had gotten a very old copy by the first American translation from a thrift store, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna try and pick this one up. I had been reading mostly science fiction and fantasy, and I was just feeling genre fatigue, and I was like, well, I liked Jane Austen, I liked Jane Eyre, I should try some other classics. That turned out to be the best decision of my reading life, because Crime and Punishment is a fantastic book. It's a gateway classic. It's really just very compelling to read. Right now we're doing a Crime and Punishment read-along over on Danny at Spinelli Speaks channel, and that's been kind of the overwhelming consensus. It's very dark in the beginning and very compelling. It's hard to put down. So I highly recommend you go check that out over on Danny's channel. Next question from Nate. This one is a bit personal, but it is earnest. Why are you a Christian? That's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking. I grew up in a Christian home and my parents are so wonderful. They're the loveliest people I know. They're the most loving and generous people that I know. I think if anyone had grown up in a home with my parents, they would probably end up being a Christian, because the Bible says that they will know you by your love, and you can definitely see Christ's love in them. It's unmistakable, and that's the biggest reason why I became a Christian. They raised me with so much love, and I could see that they had compassion on everyone around them. But also, the Bible has never led me astray. I met my husband in church, and he's been wonderful. Like a year after we got married, when I was 19, I developed an autoimmune disease, and he's been taking care of me for several years, and it's been a hard life as a caretaker for him. He's the most loving husband you can imagine, and I know that that's because of Christ's love in him, and that's why I married him. So my reasons are mostly people-based, although I am very interested in apologetics. If you want to learn more about apologetics, I'll recommend you over to Carla at Raised to Walk's channel, because she knows it all. She would probably be like, Christy, don't say that. I don't know everything. You want to talk to somebody about why you should believe, I recommend talking to her, and also picking up a copy of Mere Christianity. I think that's probably the best book I can recommend on this topic. But I would love to talk about that with you more down in the comments or on Instagram. If you leave me a comment and you want to talk about faith anywhere, I will respond to that. This is the most important thing in my life. Okay, one more from Nate's. Are you a dog person, or will you make Steve cry? Steve Donahue is another big booktuber that Nate and I both follow, and he's obviously a dog person. I love dogs. I had the most wonderful dog that you can imagine growing up. Her name was Amber, and she was an Irish Setter Golden Retriever mix. She was the sweetest dog. The only flaw she had was if you left her alone, she would punish you by chewing up the trash. She makes me a dog person in that sense, although I really love cats too. I'm probably more of a cat person because they don't require as much care, I guess. And when they come over and curl up with you, it's kind of like a treat. Like, they're not always begging for your attention. In fact, sometimes they'll be like, psh. So I don't know. I'm kind of like a low maintenance pet person. Not that I'd be like, goldfish! If I had a choice about getting a pet, I would probably get a cat. I would bring a cat to Hogwarts, but my husband is allergic, so we're gonna probably get a dog, which I'm very happy with. It's very true what Michael just said on his channel. Cats are kind of like gatekeepers. They don't think audiobooks are real books, all of that stuff. It's true about cats, but you know, I kind of love them anyway. I just love the attitude. Laura from Bookbellboy left me a comment. Laura is one of the women that is talking about Crime and Punishment with Danny and I, and she is just the sweetest. I'm so glad that I met her. Thank you for the comment, Laura. What is one of your favorite books that you don't talk about that much? That's a great question. It's like the books that I talk about that are fresh in my head, but I don't know how many of you know that I love a lot of the older young adult fantasies, like the Abhorsen series by Garth Nix and the early Tortallin Universe books by Tamora Pierce, Protector of the Small series and Wild Magic series with Veraldane Sarasri. I have all these inside. If I had planned, I would have brought them out to show you. And also, it's The Hero in the Crown and something, oh, Robin McKinley. She has some good ones too. I would love it if more people read Garth Nix, because that is an author that kept me enthralled, whether I was reading it in the daytime, whether I was trying to sleep at night, or very detailed lyrical writing, great characters. I really love that series. Kayla from Books with Kayla left me a question. What would you pick for your last meal, and would Horneater stew be involved? Yeah, Horneater stew, if I could get like a real Horneater to make it for me, like Rock, man, I'd be all over that. My last meal, probably just like a whole cake. I pretty much love all food, but I especially love Asian food and cake. Ryan from Seeking Stories. What is the best food you've ever eaten?
The best food?
Maybe my Herdazian chowta curry. That was delicious. I don't know what the best food I ever ate was. There's this Chinese restaurant in San Francisco that my mom and I discovered, and they have the best Chinese food I've ever tasted. I don't like crappy Chinese food anymore. I used to, but it kind of makes me feel not great. But if you ever get a chance, go to Dong Bay Mama. I have no idea how you pronounce that, by the way. Just get all their food. It's so good. They have like a smoked duck that's delicious, and they have a pan-fried sesame bread that's really good. What else have I gotten there? I've gotten a lot of stuff there, and it was all delicious. Highly recommended. What's the worst food you've ever eaten? Okay, there was this casserole that I made for Kev shortly after we got married, and it was one of the newer Betty Crocker recipes books, which are not as good as the old ones for whatever reason. They're more like canned food and stuff like that, and throw it in a casserole dish or whatever. So I made this, they were like hot dog enchiladas, and they were really gross. I wouldn't recommend them. One more from Ryan before he says, Bridge 4! Roshar, Narnia, Middle-earth, or Hogwarts. Are you kidding me? All of them. Actually, I don't think I'd want to live in Roshar. Too much war happening there. Narnia would be but Hogwarts, I don't know. Narnia or Hogwarts, probably. I feel like I already live in the Shire. Like, I would want to probably try something different. I love the Shire, but I live there already. I would love to meet the Fawns and wander the forest with the Dryads and meet Aslan, maybe. And Hogwarts, of course. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. Castles, fresh pumpkin juice, which is delicious if you've never tried it. Not bottled. Don't get bottled. It's gross. Krista from Books and Jams. She left me a few questions. Thank you so much, Krista. How did you and your husband meet or get together? We met at church. I didn't actually go to his church for a little while, but I was doing this Christian club, like an apologetics club at my high school, and I was terrified of speaking, and I was trying to do it, and I was just so afraid, so I just invited him to come speak for me, and he did. And then we ended up playing on worship teams together. I played drums, and he played guitar and also trumpet and percussion. We just ended up playing a lot of music together, and then as soon as I graduated high school, a couple weeks after that, he asked me, he's older than me. I wasn't really surprised. I kind of thought he might like me. What book character do you think is most like you? Or build a character, choose different traits from different characters to make one like you. Wow, that's such a thoughtful question. I read this manga in high school called Fruits Basket. We're gonna go with Toru Honda here. I've never met another character who was more like me. Toru Honda, her biggest characteristics are obliviousness and kindness. And I do strive for kindness, and I don't strive for obliviousness. It just happens. I'd say we're a lot alike, yeah. I'm sure there are other characters that if I thought about this more, I would probably have a better answer to that question. Somebody named Trip, thank you for the question, Trip, asked me if I were on a desert island with only 3 books, excluding Shakespeare and the Bible, which ones would I choose? I've got a really nice collection of religious writings. It's like an anthology. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to pick that up. Maybe if there's another Maybe Midrash 2021 that I can, but I know it will take a long time for me to go through all of those spiritual writings, and I would probably bring that one because I could probably just keep coming back to it. Another one, I would probably bring Jane Eyre because that is the most swoony romance I've ever read, and I don't know if I could get tired of it. And can I bring like Dostoevsky's collected works because that would take me a while to get through. Trip also asked, have you ever tried writing fiction? Yes, in fact. I'm writing my 5th or 6th novel right now. I've written some short stories, and I think my current novel could potentially be publishable once I finish it. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, I love writing fiction. What's your relationship with modernist literature? You know, it's a rocky relationship. I'm trying to get into it more. Right now I'm reading Graham Greene's, the one set in Mexico, The Power and the Glory, and I love it. It's the most beautiful thing. I love Flannery O'Connor. I don't really love any other modernist writers that I can think of. They're modernist, right? I don't even know. Maybe I haven't even read a ton of modernists. I like short stories a lot of times, modern short stories. Not really modern novels. I don't like reading a whole book and then having my heart broken at the very end. I don't mind if you break my heart lots of times in the middle, in the beginning, towards the end, but if my heart is still broken at the end, then I'm not usually a fan. Totally different rules for short stories though. I'm not quite as emotionally invested in short stories, so if you want to mess around and try and break my heart, you're welcome to it. Oh, Victoria, you deserve 1 million subscribers. 1 million, I say. You're awesome. Thank you. Victoria is one of my Bridge 4, along with Ryan from Seeking Stories and Kristen, Ryan's wife. They are 3 of my Bridge 4 Storm Along 2020 co-hosts and very good friends. Questions for you. Favorite place to read? I love reading on the couch or laying down. Favorite ice cream flavor? Ooh! You know what? I love Rocky Road. I love coffee. I'm not sure I could choose between those two. Pretty basic, right? My dad likes Chunky Monkey and Kev likes Neapolitan, which I think is kind of boring, honestly. But I like soft serve vanilla, so maybe not entirely boring. Best gift you've ever received? The table and chair that I'm sitting on right now outside was one of the best gifts that I've ever gotten. I've used them all the time in fall and spring. This is from Kevin. He gave me these, gosh, it's gotta be close to a year ago now, because I kept breaking all of our lawn chairs. The camping chairs would just, the arms would fall off and I would get like backaches because they didn't have much support. So he bought me a table so I could sit outside and work, and like a super expensive camping chair that will not break. Like, it hasn't broken yet. It's a record. So this was a fantastic gift. Oh, and my iPad, what I'm filming on right now, that was a really great gift too. Also from Kevin. He knows what I love. One author you could have dinner with. It would have to be a really nice author. I'd be too nervous if they were like intense people. You know, Carla's an author. I'd love to have a nice meal with Carla from Race to Walk. I feel like we have so much to talk about. I think Dostoevsky would probably be really intimidating. C.S. Lewis though would be really nice. I'd love to sit down with him and chat. I feel like Flannery O'Connor would scare me. Ooh, Leslie at the Nerdy Narrative. What was the first book you bought with your own money, and do you still own it?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I don't know. I don't usually buy books. I usually get them as gifts, unless I get them from like thrift stores or library sales. So it probably would have been a book from a library sale. If you could meet any author, dead ones included, who would you pick and why? Let's see. Well, if we're not having a whole dinner together, I would have so many questions for Dostoevsky and Flannery O'Connor. Like, I would have like a list, and I would probably get to ask like 1 or 2 of them if I was just meeting them once. And I would be happy with that. If money was no option, where's the first place you would like to visit? Kevin and I are hoping we can go to Italy for our 10-year anniversary, which would be next June. I don't know if it's gonna happen now. We'll just have to see. But I would go to Italy, we'd go to Rome, probably Venice. I know people say Venice is overrated, but whatever. So we go to Rome and Venice, and then we drive up to Germany and go to the Rhine River and take a boat down the Rhine and see all the castles. Maybe stay in one. And then we'd go to the walled city of Rothenburg and go to the Christmas store and the medieval torture museum. And we'd probably hit a few other spots along the way. That is the 11-day journey that I planned out and would really love to do. But if we just got to Italy, I would be totally happy with that. When is our first BookTube Bestie BookCon? That's funny. Noah from Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse. What is the earliest book you received in your life that you still own? Nostalgia. I have a whole bunch of Bibles that I received when I was young. Also, the first Harry Potter, which is super beat up, paint stained, lost the cover. We got the collected Chronicles of Narnia with like the big lion on the front, and it's totally falling apart, but I still have it. I was just responding to some wonderful comments on my videos, and I saw that Berna's Bookish Adventures asked me a question that didn't show up on my video. It showed up in my studio though. So her question is, since you like classics, what is the best and worst adaptation of a classic that I have seen? The best and the worst, I'm all about recency bias. I recently watched the adaptation of Crime and Punishment that's on Prime. I loved that adaptation so much. And the the worst adaptation of a classic. I've seen some of like the really old adaptations of like Wuthering Heights and Little Women, and I didn't enjoy some of the really old ones, but that's mostly just because they're old, probably. I don't think they're bad. I just really love the new ones sometimes. I don't really have a good answer for that. I probably should watch more classic adaptations. Thank you so much, Berta. That was so nice. Thank you everybody for your questions. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'm sorry about all the up, down, all around falling overness of this video. But if you have more questions, let me know down below and I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.